I'm 61 years old. I love BTS. And I'll be honest with you, I was probably the last person who expected to say that. But when I started talking about it publicly, something happened that I really wasn't prepared for. The looks, the comments, isn't that a K-pop boy band? And then I heard three words that stopped me cold. Act your age. But here's the thing I didn't see coming. The judgment didn't only come from outside the fandom. Here's what I keep coming back to. Is this even about BTS at all? When my concert video took off, I've been reading every comment, thousands of them. And alongside the amazing stories of finding impractical joy, there was this other current running underneath. I heard, aren't you a little old for this? And the one that really got to me was, act your age. And here's what I thought was true. I thought inside Army, nobody cares. You name your bias and people share theirs. That's been mostly my experience. But then someone commented on my video when I said Jungkook was my bias and V was my bias wrecker. They said they stopped watching and turned my video off. An army. And to be fair, out of thousands of comments, that was rare. Army has been one of the most welcoming communities I've ever been a part of. It stuck with me because I didn't see it coming. And can I say something else while I'm being honest? I think Jungkook is ridiculously good looking, and V too. And I'm not going to pretend I don't notice that. I'm 61. I'm not blind. Never been interested in listening to any K-pop. I just thought, it wasn't going to be my thing. But back, in lockdown, I had a lot of time and I discovered them on YouTube and I just totally went down that rabbit hole. I loved discovering them. I think I told my girls and they kind of laughed it off. So that kind of made me even more embarrassed. But finally, I told my best friend Denise. And then guess what she said? I like them too. Okay, so Denise and I have known each other since we were 6 years old. We're besties, we're best friends. So Denise's daughter, her oldest daughter, she loves Korean culture. One day, I'm not going to say her name. Alexa, I'm not talking to you, okay?
Sounds like Denise has quite the K-pop fan in her. Those cards must have some pretty cool memories attached to them.
Yeah, thanks, Alexa, I'm not talking to you,
I'm here.
okay? Denise and her daughter went to a K-pop store and Denise brought me back these two cards, which was so sweet. But when she gave them to me, I was actually really kind of embarrassed. I was like, really? Is this me? I guess somewhere along the way, I told her that these were probably my two favorite of the seven members, although I love all of them, don't get me wrong. She brought me these two cards and I tucked them away in a drawer. If you're a man watching this, I know the stigma lands differently for you, but you can feel it. The world has a pretty narrow idea of who gets to be a fan. A grown man who loves a so-called Asian boy band, the message underneath is the same. You're too old or too manly for this kind of joy. So if you've ever hidden your playlist or downplayed what this music means to you, this is for you too. I found BTS during lockdown. My mom had just passed away. I'd been laid off from my job as an art director. I was 56 years old and feeling like everything had just stopped. It was a really hard time in my life. I was dealing with so much loss. And their message, love yourself, was so powerful to me. Someone who was struggling with my own identity at that time. I wonder if your story sounds anything like mine. Did something heavy happen right before you found them? Now, every time I opened this drawer, I would see these cards and I would remember. And, sometimes I'd take them out and look at it. But it was just not something that I was, I guess, wanting to show off or really wanting anybody to really know about it. Yeah, so I kept these in that drawer for years. And I just wasn't ready to let it be known to the world that I was a BTS fan. There's a song called Stigma, sung by V, and it's about carrying something hidden, something you feel like you have to conceal, something you can't erase no matter how hard you try. When I hear that, I don't just hear his story. I hear the stories of people who've treated their own joy that way, like something to be ashamed of once they reach a certain age. And the music finds us anyway. And here's what made me stop and think. That army who turned off my video, maybe her bias is Jimin and she just couldn't hear about anyone else. I genuinely don't know. But what I noticed was how quickly I assumed it was about my age. And that assumption, that's the thing worth looking at. Not her comment, but my reaction to it. So here's the big question, the one underneath all of this. Are people uncomfortable that I'm a BTS fan? Or are they just not used to seeing someone my age who stopped holding herself back? And here's the crazy thing. The person who was most uncomfortable with all of this was me. They gave me this. They made it by hand. Maybe I let those comments get to me. That going to the concert by myself, jumping up and down, screaming like I was at a Beatles concert or something, I just made a fool out of myself. And then I said, no, life is too short to care about what a few people think. Go live your life, Dana. Getting older is supposed to mean giving things up. You downsize, you empty nest, maybe you retire. And oh, yes, we stop driving at night. We stop eating overly spicy foods. But here's what I actually think happens. When you realize you have less time than you thought you did, something shifts. You stop checking whether you're supposed to like something and you just like it. impractical joy. The BTS concert I almost didn't buy a ticket for. I didn't grow out of wanting that. I just kept telling myself it wasn't my turn yet. And there's a BTS song where the whole feeling of it is everything you see is only the surface. When someone looks at a 61-year-old woman at a BTS concert and thinks they know the whole story, they've only seen one page. The most interesting chapters, they don't know about those. My grandma Taba was an Okinawan dancer. She traveled with her moai, her group of lifelong friends, to perform well into her 80s. She never asked if it was age appropriate. She just showed up. And I think about her every time I think about Silver Army. And when I say Silver Army, I mean us, the older fans, the ones the world didn't expect to be here. But what I've noticed is that the feeling underneath it, that sense of finally knowing what's actually yours and refusing to let it go, that's not just a BTS thing. That belongs to anyone who's arrived at this place in life. Because maybe that's really what Silver Army is. Not just older BTS fans, though we are that too. It's anyone who lived long enough to stop holding ourselves back from what actually brings us joy. We can like what we like. We have the time now, maybe for the first time ever, to fill our cup with things that don't matter to anyone else but us. And that's not immaturity. That might actually be what growing older is supposed to feel like. A little wiser, a little freer, maybe even a little rebellious. This is what it actually looks like now, not just one night in a stadium, although that night really did matter. It's the hike with Roxy that had no practical purpose whatsoever. It's the taiko practice on a Sunday morning when I could be doing something more sensible. It's the watercoloring that isn't going anywhere. It's not becoming a business or on a to-do list. It's just mine. Yeah, so ever since the concert, they're just out in the living room on the table. And they're just out there for everyone to see. There's a moment in that concert I kept coming back to. They played a song about chasing the sun through the dark days, about how the long night eventually ends and you just keep walking toward the light. I'm done being so careful with joy. I'm just done. And that, more than anything, is what slow living taught me, that careful and intentional are not the same thing. There's a Japanese concept called Wabi Sabi, finding beauty in things that are old, imperfect, unplanned, and a bit unfinished. And that's Silver Army to me because we bought the ticket, got on the train, and showed up. So if there's a joy you've been setting aside, BTS or otherwise, because somewhere along the way you decided it wasn't for someone your age, here's what I've learned from Silver Army. We don't set it aside anymore because we've lived long enough to know what's actually ours, and we're done giving that up. And if you'd like to join our Moai, I'd love to have you. I'm actually hosting a members Zoom call very soon to give away a special gift and just talk face to face. I'd love to see you there. The link to my membership is in the description below. The brutal lie says you're too old. The truth is, you've never been more free. Let me know in the comments, is there an impractical joy you've tucked away because someone told you to act your age? I want to hear about it. And if this video spoke to you, I have a feeling there's someone in your life who needs to hear it too. If you want more about finding your just right speed in the second half of life, there's a whole playlist waiting for you on the screen. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you find wellness and Ikigai today and every day. See you next time.